Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joster. Happy birthday to you. That's a 3-year-old yawn right there. Happy birthday, bud. Do you want your treat? Do you want your birthday cake? Let me go get your birthday cake. Okay? Let's do it. Happy birthday, buddy. That's for you. Took it right out of my hand. Now he's going to plop on the floor. There he is. Well, good morning, Lionhearts, and non-Lionhearts that watch anyway. How are you guys today? Today, with the small exception of what I'm going to say now, is all about Ja. A lot of people love Ja. A lot of people always ask questions about Ja, so I'm just going to throw everything about Ja into today. It's his birthday. It's his 3rd birthday, and it kind of is not his birthday. I'll tell you the story as we go along today, but I'm going to take you guys, show you where I got Ja, how I got Ja, how he got his name, what our ride home was like, how I knew I had a great dog, and it'll just all be about Ja. So if you don't like Ja, shut off the video. But I think most people always love Ja, so it's going to be a fun day. So last night after I uploaded the video, I had to drive home. And I think I mentioned in the video towards the end that I knew that Sparky Anderson had lived out in Thousand Oaks. So as I was leaving, even though it was late at like 11 o'clock at night, I just thought, hey, I'll just see how far away his house was from like where I'm at now. I had no intentions of vlogging it because it was dark out and I didn't bring my camera. But I just wanted to see it, you know. I just wanted to see where it was. And I typed in the school that I was at and his name, and all of a sudden, like, a whole list of things started popping up, and basically, he was a massive supporter of the university that I was at, and he actually lived on the campus, and they named the baseball field after him. It's called the Sparky Anderson Field. So when I found his address, and I knew it was the right address because when he was alive, years ago, I found like an autograph for him where you could find, like, you know, kind of people who didn't make public appearances anymore. You could find their address and you could mail them stuff. And I had seen throughout history he would sign stuff and would mail it back. But like in the last 6 months, everybody that had sent something out was getting it returned unsigned, with like a little card that was printed up that said, like, we're sorry, Mr. Anderson's health does not allow him to sign autographs anymore. But at the bottom of that card that everybody was getting back, Sparky would sign it in pen. And it was like a real shaky signature and everything. But I don't know why. I just wouldn't take no for an answer. So I just wrote him a letter. And I included a baseball that I got at a game when I was a kid. Like a foul ball that one of the players tossed to me. And I included Game 7 of the World Series from 1975 DVD. And I just said, I'm a lifelong Reds fan. My grandpa's told you about me my whole life. I have a Reds tattoo, and I just wanted to thank you for everything that you've done for my team, for baseball, and I'm just a big fan of yours. And I said, I know that you probably are not in the condition that you can sign autographs, but if you could, would you please sign this baseball for my grandpa, and if you wouldn't mind, this DVD for me. And I totally expected it to come back unsigned, and 2 days later, it came back, and everything was signed, along with a printed out note that I'm guessing one of his family members or somebody put, and it said, thank you for being a true fan. Please take care. And I was like, wow, that is so awesome. So I actually got to send that ball. He took the baseball that I got when I was a kid and put his Hall of Fame, signed it, everything, and then inscribed it out to my grandfather. So my grandfather actually has that in a cube sitting on top of his refrigerator in Ohio. And then years later, I went to a Dodger Tigers game. I'm walking through, and I overhear somebody on like a walkie-talkie say, can we get a security to the elevator on the media level? Sparky Anderson and his entourage will be coming through. And I was like, Sparky Anderson? So I was like one floor down. I took the escalators up, and I got up there just as he was coming out of the elevator. And he had like, there were like 3 people around him, kind of like helping him. He was really frail and everything, and he was actually walking past me. So I just stuck my arm out, this arm, and just showed him my tattoo. And I said, "Sir, I've been a Reds fan my whole life. Thank you for everything you've done." And he grabbed my arm, like grabbed my tattoo like that, and then grabbed my cheek and went like that and goes, "God bless you, my boy. God bless you." And I was holding another baseball because I was actually trying to get Vin Scully to sign a baseball that day. And I said, "Would you mind signing a baseball?" And he said, "My pleasure." And he actually signed my baseball and then signed 2 others. And that was the last time I ever saw Sparky Anderson. He passed away. But he's been a big part of my life ever since I was a kid. And a lot of people may not know, beyond Babe Ruth, he's actually my favorite figure in baseball history. Not even a player, but he was a huge figure in my life. So that's the Sparky Anderson story. I drove over to his house. When I put in the GPS, it was literally 3 minutes away. I just had to like drive down to the main road and then go over 1 street parallel, and I went and I got to see his house. So that was good for me. Anyway, Daze with Jordan the Lion, and Jaw's birthday begins now! We're here. Well, here's how Jaw came to exist. I used to have a friend who had a black Chihuahua, and when I first met her and her puppy named Ozzy, she told me Ozzy doesn't like anybody but her. And from the moment Ozzy met me, Ozzy liked me more than her. He would always hop up and sit in my lap, and if we were hanging out, he was always looking at me, hanging out with me. And when she moved to the Philippines, I decided I wanted like my own Ozzy. And plus I was going through kind of a massive depression at the time, and I was able to function as far as like if I had to work, I could definitely get out to work, but if I didn't have to, sometimes I wouldn't even get out of bed, or I wouldn't even leave the apartment. And I had always wanted a dog, and I just thought, well, there's really never a good time. You know, one time's as good as the next. And I had thought about it for about 2 years after she had left. So I was finally ready to do it, and I kind of had decided that if I got him, at least it would force me to get out every day and take him for walks, and maybe it would help alleviate some of that depression. So I decided I wanted either an English Bulldog or a black Chihuahua. I'd always liked English Bulldogs, and but I figured what I wanted to do first was I wanted to check Craigslist for people that were giving away dogs, because there were always postings for like people that were moving into apartments where they couldn't take their dog, or various, you know, scenarios like that, like we're moving out of state and we can't take them, or I work crazy hours and I can't take care of the dog. But one of the things that always worried me about it was that every posting always made the dog sound perfect, and sometimes you have to know that the reason they're getting rid of the dog is because the dog is unruly or it's destructive or something. And I'd actually contacted 2 people who were advertising dogs. One of them was gone already when I called, and he was actually like a black Chihuahua mixed with a blue-nosed pit bull, and he was really adorable, but he was gone. And then there was like a white Chihuahua, and when I called, it just sounded fishy. They just kept, I said, okay, I'll get back to you, and then like an hour later, have you decided yet? And then an hour after that, have you decided yet? And I was like, this is a little creepy. So then one day in Craigslist, I'm looking, and there's an adoption center in there with this Joker's face in it, and there was a picture of him and his brother, who was 4 pounds heavier than him. At the time, Jaw was 6 pounds, and his brother was, I think they said 8, but he felt like 10 when I picked him up. But before I'd even went, I knew I wanted Jaw, because they had a picture, and his brother was sitting in the cage, and Jaw was standing up in the cage with his paws on the fence, like looking at the person taking the picture with his head tilted. And Jaw had a white kind of like heart-shaped hair, like patch on his chest, so I knew I would be able to recognize him. So I decided I'm gonna email this lady and see if he's still available. So I emailed her on a Sunday, and she said, yeah, he's still here, both of them are still here. And she started to really hard press me on taking both. She's like, he's $150, but if you take his brother with him, it's $175. And
I was just like, no, I have a small apartment. I don't think I'll be able to do that. So I said, I have to work pretty much Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But I said, right now, as of now, I have Thursday off. And if I'm off Thursday and he's still there, I'll come get him. So Thursday came around. I sent her an email. And she said, yep, they're both still here if you want to come get them. Like them. And I go, okay, I'll come get him today. So I immediately drive over there. I walk in and I see him in his cage. And he immediately starts looking at me and like basically wanting my attention. And his brother is behind him and he starts like jumping all over Jaw, kind of like instigating fights. And I was like, yeah, Jaw's the one I want. He's the smaller of the two. He seems the friendlier of the two. And so we're going to go and I'm going to show you where I got Jaw and how he got his name and everything. But it was pretty funny because as soon as I got there, I'm not kidding, the moment I looked at him, the lady was helping somebody else, and I just kept looking at him, playing with him through the cage and everything. Look at that. What a goof. Playing with him and everything, and then she comes over and she goes, are you interested in him? And I said, yeah, I want him. She just, without a second thought, just runs over, grabs the paperwork and hands it to me and goes, I'll get back to you. Go ahead and start filling this out. Like, she was really in a quick sell, and she goes, so you wanted both of them, right? Teresa said you wanted both of them. I go, no, I specifically told her I can only have one. Oh, well, she said you wanted both. I'm like, yeah, she kept trying to push them off of me. I said, that's just not going to happen, unfortunately. So as I'm there, filling out the paperwork, a family comes up, and they start looking at Jaw, and they're like, oh, we want him. And the lady's like, I'm sorry, he's already spoken for it, but the one in the back's available if you want to get him. Oh, we want this one. The lady actually goes, well, you'll have to go talk to that guy over there and see if he'll give him up. And I'm like, don't mean to be selfish, but no. I've been thinking about him all week. I'm getting him. And I'd already started filling out the paperwork anyway. So on the paperwork it says, what's the dog's name? And I actually hadn't thought about it. I just knew I wanted something that started with a J if I could, and something short. And I was going through a massive Bob Marley phase. I was listening to nothing but Bob Marley, and I just thought, Rastafarian for God is Jah, J-A-H. And Bob Marley had like 3 or 4 songs where he would sing about Jah. And so I just thought, hey, what better of a way to kind of have good luck than to name him after such a positive person or a positive figure. So that's kind of where he got his name. Look how windy it is out here. I've got my new microphone with the dead cat on for the kind of to dim out some of the wind noise. So this will be a perfect opportunity to test that out. So the whole drive out to where I got Jaw, all I kept thinking about was how different life was going to be like from now on. But I was super excited, and I'm glad I got him. I wonder if Jaw will recognize this place at all. He hasn't been here forever, but like we've never been back. But I know when he gets his nails cut at a place, and I take him back the second time, he doesn't even want to walk in the door because he remembers, so we'll see. Well, we're here, and I actually got the same exact parking space that I got when I got him. And that's where we got him. Teresa's Country Feed and Pet. They had a little missing pets adoption place inside here. So let's go take a look at where we got this face. Hey, Jawbird, do you remember this place? Do you remember this place? Go on in. So we're in here, and we came back. At the time, it was back here to the right. So we'll see if it's still where it was. At least it was when I came here. It was back here. Okay, so somebody that works here just told me that the place that used to operate out of here kind of took a break and shut down about a year ago. But it was all back here because I remember his cage was basically like right here. Him and his brother were both black, and they were in that cage, and then there was a cage right below them, and it had about 5 white chihuahuas. And back in here was a room where they had all the all the puppies were in cages. They had more in here and everything. And I came in, looked at him, and he kept staring at me. Staring and staring and staring. So I decided I was going to get him. And she had me fill out the paperwork. And like I said, she said, what do you want to name him? I hadn't really settled on anything, but I knew I had to go up front and get a name tag for him. So the first thing that popped in my head was Jaw. And he became a Jaw. And I walked down here, and right at the front, you can actually, oh, it's still there. We'll go see it. First thing they had me do was come down here and get a name tag made for him. So I got a name tag for him, and then I walked back there, signed all the paperwork, and grabbed him. So here's the thing. As soon as I got him, I was carrying him out to the car, and I got a text message right this second. I was probably right here, and I read the text message, and it was an email from my agent saying, you have an audition at 3:30 in Santa Monica, and I'm in Simi Valley right now, and it was about 1 o'clock. So I immediately had to drive him home, set up his cage, and hope that he didn't bark so I could go to my audition, which I was not happy about, but it was one of the first union auditions that my agent had ever sent me out on, and so I didn't want to flake on it. So the first thing I thought was, I go, well, I guess this ride home would be the indicator of what kind of dog I got. And I said, if he behaves on the way home, my biggest fear was that he would get in the car and he would hop down on the floor and like be underneath my feet or something. So what I wanted to do was put him on the passenger floor. I put him on the passenger floor, and he immediately tried to get up on the passenger seat. So I helped him get on the passenger seat, and then he started walking over, sat on my lap, and he's been doing that ever since. The whole ride home, he sat on my lap looking out the window and occasionally looking up and licking my neck. And he's been pretty much the perfect dog ever since. And that's how me and John met. And now that we come here and we see that like it's closed and the whole pet adoption place is gone, everything kind of shows you what a blessing it was. It's almost like the Zoltar machine in Big. It's like it was only there for a fleeting moment, but it was there at the times you needed it. So really the last little bit to our story was that when I got Jaw, he was supposedly born on June 29th. And when I got him, they gave me a free doctor's checkup. And so when I went to the doctor looked at him, looked at his records and said, this birth date is not correct. And I said, what do you mean? I said, they said he was born June 29th. He said, no, because I got him on September 4th. And the guy said, no, he said, he has, and I forget what the shot was, but he said, I wouldn't have given him that shot unless he was 20 weeks old. And on June 29th, he would not have been 20 weeks old. The shot's ineffective. And he said, and I remember giving him the shot. So he said, you're going to have to pick a different birth date, probably sometime in May. He said, the middle or early part of May. And I said, well, I'm into numerology and I have a real thing against fives. I don't want his birthday being in May. And the guy goes, well, late April then. And my dad's birthday was on April 28th. And it's always kind of a sad day. So I thought, you know, what better way to turn that day around than to make Jaw's birthday my dad's birthday, April 28th. So that's why your birthday's April 28th, buddy. So the whole ride home, we're in this lane, and he's just looking out the window, licking my neck, and I'm thinking, man, I may have got exactly what I wanted out of a dog. I just kept praying on my way there. I'm like, please let him be somewhat quiet, not a barker, and please let him just be obsessed with me. And I didn't even realize what I was asking for when I got that, because you've never seen a dog more obsessed with somebody than what this guy is with me. But Jaw has never barked. They told me, like, oh, probably when he gets to 10 months or a year, he'll start barking and you'll wish you wouldn't have. And Jaw just never started barking. He has the ability to. If we're wrestling and he wants to fight and I'm not giving him attention and I'm not looking at him, he'll let out a little like a little chirp, but that's about it. And contrary to what that idiot on YouTube was posting saying that I had Jaw's voice box removed, that guy's an idiot. We just went over to the pet store and they gave him some of that dehydrated chicken he likes, so he's pretty happy and ready for a break now. I guess the last little bit about Jaw that you guys would want to know, and by far and away, I get more questions about Jaw, so that's why we did this vlog today, than I do about anything else. And the two things that I haven't told you yet were when I went to fill out the paperwork, what his name was. Some of the paperwork said his name was, well, he was Abigail's puppy, so apparently Abigail was his mom. And all the paperwork said his name was, you guys ready for this? Miracle 2. His brother was Miracle 1 and he was Miracle 2. That was what his name was. I don't know. What do you guys think? Miracle 2 or Jaw? Jaw. Happy birthday, buddy. And just to finish off our little buddy's birthday, I decided to do the laundry. And you might be wondering, what does that have to do with anything? His favorite thing in the whole world is he loves to lay in the warm laundry. So I went ahead and did all the laundry, and I'm pulling it out, throwing it up here, and he just keeps rolling around in the laundry. Happy birthday, Joster. We've spent all day hanging out together, haven't we? Here's to another 15 years, brother. Good night. Look away. Staring contest. Look away. Look away. Okay. You win the staring contest on your birthday. Happy 3rd birthday, buddy.